Welcome back, Playmore fans, to another Team Builder as we get ready for Week 4 against Numb Nexus and the Toronto Tyrants. Very excited about this game. We'll talk about Week 3 first. Obviously, that turn 1 sucked. It is the game we play. Even if I only missed Draco and didn't get crit, I'd be able to click Draco another time, but I was in range of Thunderclap. And then additionally, the crit also just meant I could never wish back to full, because ironically half of Screamtail's health was 1 point shy of getting Dragonite back to multi-scale. So that was extremely unfortunate. He was Assault Vest Raging Bolt, but he was only max HP, no special defense investment. So we had a 12% chance to kill him with the Draco. And then even if we don't kill, Volcanion's able to just click Specs Flamethrower without any worries, instead of Specs Earth Power. Which would have been very big into his team. Obviously, the Iron Treads against Great Tusk didn't work. AV still makes sense, but it's like all my special breakers are hitting him super effective and still OHKOing him. So it's probably only for Regieleki, I suppose. And then when it came down to the end game, if I clicked Ice Beam, we had an 88% chance to kill him. And that's why I didn't want to show Water Shuriken against the Raging Bolt. That's why I risked it, even though it was frozen. I would have went before the Thunderclap with Water Shuriken, but I wanted to keep that in case I had to face Sucker Punch low kicks. And even though I knew I showed Water Shuriken, I was kind of banking on him not thinking it through clearly and just wanting to click Sucker immediately, as he was getting kind of reverse swept by Gren. But Chase clutched up, so he did it very well there. I still kind of stand by my Water Shuriken play, because I needed a lot of hits to be able to click it twice. If I didn't get the amount of damage I did because of that Water Shuriken, then it would have forced another 50-50. So it just kind of benefited him more in the long run, but he said, nope, balls to the wall, clicking Leech Life immediately the first one, which is valid. I mean, it would have been another 50-50 either way, so it really doesn't matter. And then I know a lot of people were commenting, oh, why'd you not get Rain Up with Screamtail? And then do stuff with Overquill. I mean, it only would have mattered for differential of getting one more, but potentially even that. It might have still been 2-0, because even though I get up Rain, he leeches his life, gets back a lot of health. I'm forced to click Gunk now with Overquill. Also, I'm minus Defense Nature because of Hydro Pump. So there's the chance I just dropped a +2 Sucker. And if I don't, I likely go down to Life Orb after. And if I don't go down to that, I go down to Life Orb against Coolfish, which just eats any hit against me. So he wasn't a Violite, so it would have done a lot of damage, but realistically the only way that would have won if, he misclicks and clicks Leech Life over Sucker Punch or something. Which, I mean, it wouldn't have felt good getting that win anyways, if that were to happen that way, because he won the necessary turns. I know it would have, whatever, hacks the being, whatever, who cares? It happened. I'm not too bummed about the loss, because it really just came down to those 2 turns, which are kind of luck dependent, because you can be as good as you could possibly be, and it's still a coin flip at the end of the day with that Sucker Punch and whatnot. And then everyone can miss a Draco and get crit, so shout out to Tyler on that one. But yeah, so we're looking at the game against Nexus now. I'll quickly go over his team, because I know he'll be waiting for me very shortly to get the match right after this. He has Terra, Ogerpong, Wellspring, Cinderace, Jirachi, Kyurem, Donphan, Mandibuzz, Okidogi, Comfey, Terra Raichu, and Sableye. Terra Ogerpong Wellspring is easily one of the strongest Terra captains that was allowed. It was the most expensive at 25 for the cap, which is why it only has Raichu as the second one. And I mean, this thing can easily be a menace. It is interesting how it's going Water Absorb versus Water Absorb against Volcanion. He obviously loses his Water Absorb if he Terras, and even though it's always Terra Water, that Terra Water gives him a natural Assault Vest, just a +1 special defense boost whenever he comes in. And then those Ivy Cudgels do crazy damage, even when I have the immunity with Volcanion. One thing we have to be careful of with Volcanion is if I do Water Absorb the Ivy Cudgel and he clicks Stomping Tantrum after, it is doubled in power because Ivy Cudgel technically failed. So we have to be cautious of that. Overall, very good utility in Spike's Encore, Knockoff, U-Turn, and then it can set up with Swords Dance and has access to Trailblaze. I'm expecting like a supportive Encore set or just like an SD stomping set, but we'll see. There could be quite a mix of a few moves he could be. If I see Encore, I don't expect stomping though. That's mainly the synergy that I see there. If it's Encore, it's likely Swords Dance with just stabs and Cudgel and Trailblaze. Or Encore, stabs, and Synthesis, but Power Whip probably instead of, or Horn Leech, it could be either, over the Trailblaze slot. So, boosting his speed is nice in the matchup though. Cinderace has potential of coming just because of Court Change. Other than that, I really don't see too crazy use of it, to be honest. Jirachi is more than likely to come. Ogerpong, Jirachi, and Kyurem are just kind of his goats so far. And I expect him to come to literally every match for him ever, because there's very few reasons not to do it. Jirachi, he's used plenty of times before. I'm expecting kind of a bulky, annoying set. It might have Colbur Berry, it might have Shucka in order to deal with Greninja or Dragonite, get off like a Thunder Wave or damage there. It can easily be his Stealth Rocker in this matchup. I expect it more over Donphan. But he could also still be an offensive set if you wanted to, or maybe like an Assault Vest set. I know he likes that with U-Turn. You could be U-Turn, Body Slam, Iron Head, fill-in move, probably Drain Punch, or maybe Ice Punch, either or. You can even swap that out with Body Slam, but Body Slam giving that increased chance to get the paralysis, and Iron Head giving the increased chance to flinch can be extremely annoying. Kyurem, very interesting this generation with Dragon Dance now and Loaded Dice. It now has that option to be a much scarier physical threat, while still being definitely a threat on the special side as well, just because of its coverage of Ice Beam, Draco, Freeze Dry, Earth Power, and then even Flash Cannon for certain fairy matchups if it wants to, which it definitely could against me with Screamtail. So, Donphan, respectable spinner, has Sturdy, can be Assault Vest once again, Ice Shirt for priority. Mandibuzz, extremely fat, does also get Defog, so he has great removal options. Good consistent Dark type, Foul Play to really hinder like my Sweeping and potentially Dragonite. And Roost for longevity, U-turn momentum. Okie Dokie is very difficult for my team to switch into, plain and simple. It also has access to Guard Dog if it wants to punish and intimidate Overquill. But if he's some type of pivoting set, more than likely he's still going to be the Toxic Chain variant, just so he can potentially get those badly poisons on my team members. And remember, it's not just contact, it is any move whatsoever that does damage. Comfey, priority Draining Kiss with Triage is very big into Greninja and Dragonite. You could opt to bring that in general. A Calm Mind version doesn't look awful into me because he could even be Giga Drain for Iron Treads to hit that neutrally. So that could be an issue if it gets out of control potentially. And still gets good utility once again in Encore and U-Turn. He has a lot of that on this team. Raichu, second Terra Captain, don't really worry about it. It has Lightning Rod, it could potentially be Terra Ghost, and then Harwall Regieleki if he really wants to do that. But I think Donphan plus Kyurem kind of deals with Regieleki just fine. So that's up to him. And then Sableye can obviously be a nuisance, blocking both my Rapid Spin options and getting Prankster Encores once again. So that being said, my team is starting off with Steve, the Alolan Golem. He is finally making his debut, along with Staraptor, who you'll see towards the end of the team builder. We have just a Leads Rocks Boom set with Sturdy and Custap Berry. Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Explosion, and Endure. Endure, obviously, in case he knows I'm probably Sturdy and wants to avoid it. He does a little bit of damage with something else and then goes for the stronger move the next turn. I Endure on that next turn, and I still go down to 1%. So I'm sticking under that 25% mark for Custap Berry to activate. Specifically, I'm also a minus defense nature in case he is lead Okie Dokie for some reason, or he just goes into it afterwards when I get up rocks and he just wants to click Drain Punch. So if he's Drain Punch, he 100% gets me beneath that 25% if he's max attack adamant. This way I don't have to risk going for Endure, getting Toxic Chained, and then just dying before I get to boom the next turn. So that's a little clever there. But then we also have enough special defense to where if he's a bulky Jirachi with Psychic Noise, we do avoid getting 2-hit KO'd there. And we can get put immediately into Custap that way. Earthquake is really only if I want to get extra damage off on that Jirachi. Otherwise, I am just clicking Explosion. Very consistent to his team. Even if he brings Sableye, which I'm still not sure if he will. It is pretty annoying into my team, but I'm not sure if he wants to play like that. And I know he drops it in the future. he obviously absorbs the explosion with Sableye, but I still gain momentum, and my rocks are up. So I think I'm fine with that at the end of the day. But ideally, Explosion is breaking Donphan's Sturdy. I think that's what happened in like 90% of my mocks. Because you want to go in the Donphan just in case I am Galvanized, and then in general, a Lone Golem really can't hit Donphan that hard. So you do have to commit to losing your Sturdy, but otherwise something else takes a whole bunch of damage. You can't risk Mandibuzz if I go for a Galvanized Explosion, then you're kind of screwed. If he sees Sturdy, then obviously you can debate it then, but I can gain a lot of momentum and hopefully keep my hazards up this way by breaking Sturdy on Donphan and letting the rest of the team pressure it afterwards. So we'll see. Next up, we have our win condition in Iron Treads. It's a very interesting set with Iron Defense, Body Press, Earthquake, and Rapid Spin, and we are holding the weakness policy. So what we want to do here is get up an Iron Defense. Realistically, setting up against Mandibuzz, I think, is the best thing, especially if it just tries to go with Foul Play, because traditionally on paper, Mandibuzz does just Foul Play and Roost and beat Iron Treads 1v1. Forces to chip him down and have me switch out. Not the case with this set. I can get off multiple Iron Defenses and be able to then produce enough damage with Body Press after. But realistically, I'm clicking Iron Defense first and Rapid Spin second. Rapid Spin depends if I need to get rid of rocks. I might click that first just to be safe and situational. But after a +2 defense with Body Press, we can KO Cure him after Stealth Rocks. We can consistently do a little bit more damage into the Mandibuzz now. EQ is still going to be better into other things, but also once we get that Iron Defense, mainly the only thing that is threatening Iron Treads to kill it is that Cure him. Because now with Iron Defense, I eat a hit from anything else. The rest of his team is heavily physical. Apart from the Cure him, Jirachi can obviously have Aura Sphere, and that's something I need to be cautious of. But if I get hit by any of those moves that aren't picking up a KO, apart from Earth Power Cure him, then I get my weakness policy activated, and now Earthquake guarantees kills Jirachi, Cinderace, Okie Dokie, and I don't have to risk getting multiple hits into them. So the only way this doesn't work is if I two immediate counters in Whirlwind, Mandibuzz, and Sableye. Sableye just hard deals with it. But I do have ways potentially of punishing the Sableye, which I'll talk about shortly with the next mon. And then additionally, if he goes Ogerpon just after the defense boost, then I'm screwed. Because what I want realistically is when they go into Ogre, I already have an Iron Defense and a Rapid Spin. If he goes Ogre on the Rapid Spin and I already have the defense boost, that works. Because the situation here is I avoid the crit from Ivy Cudgel, so an 88% chance of that happening. And I can get up a second Iron Defense, getting me to +4. Even if he Terras, I'm taking about 50%. And we get the weakness policy. If he Terras, weakness policy Earthquake always KOs. If he doesn't Terra, we take less from the Ivy Cudgel. And now, after the Stealth Rock damage, a +4 Body Press will KO Ogerpon, unless he's like a max HP variant, which he'll need speed in this matchup no matter what. So if he does bring an HP variant, Ivy Cudgel's going to be doing less, and then I can Iron Defense again. So I just need to scout that damage, plain and simple. That's really the only ways he can get around it. This Iron Treads has won me a few mocks. I need to be like kind of aggressive with it. So after I boom, I'm actually going into my next mon, which I'll get to shortly. But then ideally down the road, I don't take too long to get Iron Treads in, because if I give him the chance to get setup momentum with either a Dragon Dance Curum or an SD Ogerpon, then that can get a little bit scary for my team. Next up, we do have Volcanion with the Terra Poison. With Steam Eruption, Heat Crash, Terra Blast, and Will-O-Wisp with the Mental Herb. Now, just like a few weeks ago, we are Brave Nature with enough attack investment, so we are getting a physical attack on our Terra Blast. This way, we are going around the Ogerpon's +1 special defense boost. Now, when he does Terra, he becomes pure water, so he's no longer weak to poison. But even with the investment, if he's an offensive variant, which I fully expect, that we do get a 2-hit KO still. Even if he has some HP, we're doing like minimum 40%, so that's still a win. And doing a lot of damage that way. Will-O-Wisp is also very consistent into his team. The other reason for Terra Poison, though, is Okie Dokie. I don't have switch-ins to Okie Dokie. It is an issue. That is the main thing front and center. But obviously, I still deal with Ogerpon Stabs because of Water Absorb and then resisting the Grass-type move. Now, I am still naturally weak to Stomping Tantrum, so I do have to be cautious of that. But like I said, if he's Encore, I don't think he's stomping Tantrum. And based off how I'm playing this game, Volcanion's coming in right after the boom. I'm able to Terra. The only reason I wouldn't Terra is if he doesn't bring Okie Dokie. I might wait to Terra then. Unless I'm worried about rocks, then I'll Terra immediately just to avoid all that damage. Because otherwise I could take a hit from Cinderace and Jirachi better in my normal form. But Volcanion can still get the Terra off, and I'm able to do stuff immediately with Will-O-Wisp, potentially on the Ogerpon on switch in, which once he sees Terra Poison, he's probably going to go Mandibuzz first, is my guess. Maybe into Jirachi, maybe into Okie Dokie. Any of those three, I love getting Will-O-Wisp off, and then obviously if he goes Ogre, I do a little dance. So, and then the Mental Herb is just so when I click Steam Eruption at any point into Mandibuzz, Jirachi, Okie Dokie, whatever it is, if he goes Ogerpon with Water Absorb, I cannot be locked into it the next turn, and I can 100% Terra Poison, Terra Blast, or get off a Will-O-Wisp. Whatever feels the best. Obviously, I probably want to go for Terra Blast. That way I can't just be Encored again the next turn, nor do I have a chance of missing Will-O-Wisp. So that's likely the route I'll probably go, but it could be dependent where I might want to get off a Will-O-Wisp. We'll see. Because the Will-O-Wisp does really help Iron Treads get his setup easier as well. I already take like a high horsepower easily from the Okie Dokie as Iron Treads. And after the Iron Defense boost, I'm taking even like the Stab Close Combat and stuff a little bit better. But the Will-O-Wisp at least means like I'm not taking as much damage, and now I can play a little bit riskier into the Mons because of the burn. I'm taking even less damage. It's really big. At first, this was like a sub-lefties Volcanion, but it just wasn't enough for the team, and I think this is still a very strong variant for me to be able to punish his Encore and breakthroughs, hopefully cheesing the Ogerpon. I think that's going to be the most effective, but even if it doesn't get Ogerpon, I think what will be big is I'm able to punish the Sableye, because if I get the burn on Ogerpon, he might go focus into Sableye first on the poison, get me locked into that. Terra Physical Poison into a defensive Sableye with Steam Eruption the next turn just kills as I eat the Mental Herb and ignore his Encore. So that's how I can set up Iron Treads better that way as well. So the Mental Herb just gives me a lot of potential in that aspect. And I'm hopefully it helps because lefties still look nice. Shucka obviously looked nice as well. But I'm trusting my gut with the Mental Herb on this one just because of all the Encore potential you could have. So, and it lets Volcanion just click a move and make everything easier. Next up, we have Screen Tail. This set went through a lot of changes actually just in the last few hours. So I actually haven't mocked with this exact version. But we are a fast HP variant, so we were always outspeeding Ogerpon. We have Protect, Dazzling Gleam, Wish, and Encore. Encore obviously locking our opponent into whatever move they click. And then Red Card making it to where if we live a hit, they automatically get phased out. Reasoning behind this is after a few mocks, I was originally specially defensive Scream Tail. With some speed to still outspeed stuff, just to mainly deal with a basic Kyurem. But Dragon Dance Kyurem became an issue. So then I went to this, and then additionally Red Card can also help me against Ogerpon, to where if he does SD and he doesn't have the Trailblaze, I always outspeed and I lock him in with Encore, and I can still deal with it that way. If he's like a Choice Scarf or a Boots Kyurem, I can still wall him even just with max HP as the Scream Tail and get up my Wish and my Protects. Obviously we're going to spend the Red Card whenever Kyurem comes out. I'm going to do it. Especially if I already cheese the Ogre with Volcanion, then that makes my life even easier to make the decision of whether or not I want to risk the Red Card immediately. But if he specs, I will take a whole lot of damage, but ideally he already took Stealth Rocks, he phases out, he takes Stealth Rock again the next time, and then he's just in range of so many other things for me to be able to pick up the kill next time around. And if he's Choice Scarf, I still have ways around that, and then once again the Scream Tail can naturally heal from that. I just have to be cautious of whether or not I'm able to Wish on whatever Mon gets phased in by Red Card. So, but more than likely whatever comes in now just means I can go right back into Volcanion again, depending. Next up we have Bubby the Greninja coming back as just a Protean Breaker this week. This is really helpful for picking up potential revenges and specifically breaking through Mandibuzz or Okie Dokie if Okie Dokie chooses to be Assault Vest. With Protean and Life Orb, Ice Beam into an Assault Vest Okie Dokie, even after I am now only an Ice type and Protean won't give me the Psychic type stab on Extra Sensory. Since it's still 4 times effective, it will still pick up the KO of Ice Beam into Extra Sensory on Okidogi. And obviously, depending on how much damage it does, I can then know if whether or not it's Choice Scarf, because those are the 2 most likely sets I expect on Oki. If it's not just like Guard Dog Bulk Up, which could be an issue into my team, but then I have the Encore Screamtail, I have the Extra Sensory Gren. I'm not really worried about that. I have plenty of resources to really deal with it. But then additionally, just the 2 Ice Beams into even a Max Spadef Mandibuzz gives me the chance of 2 KOs there. Now, if it's specially defensive and I don't have the Ice typing mid-game, that can be an issue. But Low Kick, being this mix set, also helps me against Kyurem. Once again, if it's like a Boots variant or just like Specs, if he takes Stealth Rocks at all, Low Kick is always going to kill, even if I don't have the Protean boost, unless he has a lot of bulk investment, then it might be a roll. Or just might even live it, just because Kyurem's naturally extremely fat. But if I haven't clicked the move and Kyurem's out, or I'm going Grand on Kyurem, whatever it is, Low Kick's triggered. Low Kick is doing like 92% minimum. So even if he doesn't take rocks, if I hit it with literally anything else, Low Kick is going to be picking up the kill. And it still has a strong chance to pick up the kill. Like, it's a roll if he's offensive invested, which is interesting. He can either be timid/jolly with a lot of bulk, or he can be modest/adamant. If he's set up, he's more than likely jolly with Dragon Dance. But if he's Scarf or Specs, he might be modest just because he can still outspeed max speed Dragonite and get that extra damage power into Screamtail and the rest of my team. So wouldn't be surprised by that. But Greninja can be pretty consistent in picking up a necessary kill, and just having something that can outspeed Ogre is still nice. Even though I'm heavily special and Low Kick's only doing like 30 to 40% to Ogerpon, it's still nice to have a consistent thing that can also outspeed it. Staraptor is next with the Choice Scarf, once again helping us against that Ogerpon, but then additionally his own Choice Scarf Kyurem if he has it, the Cinderace, Comb, well, I guess Comfey's getting priority either way, Okidogi if it's Choice Scarf, etc. This is just very strong into his team of getting off a lot of damage. Obviously, Jirachi and Mandibuzz kind of sits in front of it, but if he's a max special defensive Mandibuzz, then I do still 2-KO with Brave Bird or Double Edge, and then Jirachi, hopefully we're able to chip down with another team member over time, or I can just spam U-turn and try and gain momentum. So we do have to be cautious of giving the Ogerpon Trailblaze, because then obviously he's going to outspeed our Staraptor. But this is very nice just to keep in the back for if Kyurem is Choice Scarf and Screamtail takes too much damage or gets frozen or something along those lines. And then if it gets a +1 with the Dragon Dance. For close combat to kill, I need to have him roughly around 65 or 70%. And then for Brave Bird or Double Edge to kill, I need him around 55 to 60, probably around the 60 mark. I don't think he's going to have that much bulk. And then we can pick up the kill that way. So there's plenty of Pokemon on my team that can do that damage naturally to Kyurem. And then if he has that Choice Scarf variant, then he's taking rocks immediately. I mean, he's already in range of close combat. I did have a way to make it where I could get a guarantee kill on Kyurem after some stealth rocks, but I had to switch that out for something else. So I might use it in the future. But Staraptor is still very solid in this match. I'm happy to finally be able to use it. Hopefully it comes in clutch. I don't think Final Gambit was really going to be a benefit this match. Close combat really felt necessary, and Double Edge feels necessary in case he does bring that Raichu for some reason. I don't think there's anything else I wouldn't click Brave Bird against. I guess there's even the chance that he brings the Sableye, but I mean, Jirachi's obviously resisting both. It's very situational for me. Want to click the Double Edge if Raichu is around. But I did face a Terra Ice Raichu that didn't Terra yet, and it was in the back. And Double Edge was able to pick up the KO because of it, because I locked into that over Brave Bird. So it has potential. So we'll see. But that is the team for Nexus. It's going to be a very interesting match. It can go either way just because his team has so many different avenues that he can go in 6 that he can bring. And the options that they can be between just a bulky support Ogerpon or SD Ogerpon, D-Dance Kyurem, Specs or Scarf. He could even be like Assault Vest Kyurem if you wanted to because of my special attackers. I wouldn't be that surprised. Donphan could be a mix of a few things. Figuring out Mandibuzz's bulk is going to be key. So it's going to be a very interesting match, I feel like, and I'm very excited to face Nexus. He's a good friend. So, but we need this bounce back. Unfortunately, so does he because he lost last week as well. But we're getting it first. I got dibs. So, I'll see you guys in the battle.